So you may be wondering where my banana plants are. If you watch my garden walkthrough videos this summer and my how-to for overwintering guide, you might be thinking, where are the onset bananas that I normally have in the ground growing very tall, or my clump of Musa or sikkimensis? Well, you may have picked up by the fact from last year's video that I lost quite a few of the onset, but also there's something else going on in terms of the bananas. In terms of, I think there's some sort of virus or bug or something happening to the onset bananas that's affected them quite a lot, and I've seen this in other people's gardens as well. So we'll touch on that in this video, but I'm going to show you where I've kept my bananas in 2024. So this year I've kept my bananas in pots, including my Musa. So this is one of the Musa I dug up from the ground last year. I put it in a decent sized pot, added some chicken manure on the surface there, basically left it to its own devices, and it's not even come out of the greenhouse. And it's opened a few leaves, but it's not super vigorous. You have got a bit of discoloration on the leaves, but that's probably a factor of actually being grown in the greenhouse. But in closer inspection down here, we can see we have got some more of these marks, and again this can be sun scorch, but as you'll see later on with the onset, it seems to be something that's carrying on throughout all the leaves, whether or not they're grown inside or outside. But I've still kept this Musa going, and we'll see if we're going to plant it out next year. But I've tried to keep all my banana plants very separate. So I've got the Musa here, no other bananas near it, but there is another banana in the greenhouse, very different type, and that is the edible banana Musa Cavendish, which has on the younger leaves nice spotting, which you can see here. And this is grown from a small plant last year. We picked it up last September, so it's nearly a year old. I got it through winter, and now it's pupping at the base as well. So we've got 3 pups on this plant. So that's doing okay. It's got no disease at all on that one, so I'm pretty happy with this. So that's the Musa Cavendish, growing in the greenhouse, kept warm. It was kept on a heat mat through winter, and it's grown nicely. No red spider mite or anything else on that one, so very pleased with that one. And that will be potted into a larger pot next spring, and hopefully we'll get it to fruiting size next year or the year after. If you're finding this video interesting and educational, then please click on the like button so more people can find this video and hopefully find it interesting as well. Thank you for watching. Let's get back to the video. Here is a Musa relative, Musella lasiocarpa, Chinese banana plant, and this lost pretty much all its leaves over winter, but it's come back strongly now to make a nice plant in a pot, and I'll keep it potted. You can grow it in the ground and protect it, but I like to actually keep it in a pot, and I've had it flower before. You might remember my time-lapse video of this one flowering, or a similar different specimen but the same species in the past. So this will be potted up next spring into a larger pot and then kept in a pot, and hopefully this will flower in a couple of years time. But it's looking nice and healthy, and hopefully it won't defoliate this winter like it did last winter when I left it out when it was a bit too cold for it before it came into the greenhouse for winter, and it was kept above 5 degrees just to keep it ticking over. And here we have a Musa sikkimensis in a pot, and it was in a pot just to keep its height over winter, and the plan was probably to pot it up into a larger pot, but I didn't get around to doing so. And as you can see, the recent Storm Lillian, has absolutely battered this and snapped the main leaf that was coming out. You can see it's a decent sized plant. You can see how the leaves have broken into individual segments so that the whole leaf doesn't actually snap over in this case. Well, this is growing strong and I can't see any disease on this at all, so I'll continue growing this one. Again, because it's in a pot, easy just to lift up and bring into the greenhouse over winter. I'll probably tidy it up, chop all these leaves off, let it go pretty much dormant, and then it will take off next spring when temperatures warm up. So that's Musa Cavendish. Now there is one banana left in the ground. That is another Musa Cavendish. This is a pup. It's grown from ground level to about 70, 80, 90 centimetres tall. Beautiful blush on the underside of the leaves, looking totally healthy, no blemishes at all on any of these leaves. And this one, because it's grown strongly from the ground, I will actually probably protect the pseudostem of this and see if I can get that young pseudostem through in the ground this year. But this is the only banana that's actually growing in the ground in 2024. That's Musa Cavendish. So this is the problem I've found over the last couple of years, especially with onset bananas. Now we have this blackish build up on the base, which is pretty usual. You do get this on onset bananas. You have this on Morellii and Montbelliardii and Haniba and the general green form as well, but it's quite apparent on the base of all the leaves. But there's another issue as well. If we look at the leaves, we've got brown blemishes and broken parts of the leaves, and this isn't just sun scorch or fertilizer issues or anything like that, because if we look at the center, you can see how even the new leaves, before they come out, we've got these brown patches. And this particular specimen has been kept out in the front garden outside in quite a sheltered spot. Sunny, yes, in the morning, but then shady from midday onwards, and even in those conditions you've got these issues. It's growing in a pot, it's been fed with some chicken manure, and it's growing, but it's just got these awful blemishes. If you look at that newish full leaf, you can see down the leaf there, up that edge, it's got these marks, and it's got this on every single leaf that comes out. And I've seen this on other people's banana plants or onset plants as well, so I'll be interested to know, have you got onset bananas showing this particular affliction basically of scorch marks? And if you look at them closer, I shouldn't really call them scorch marks, these brown patches, but if you look at them closer, it's brown and then a yellowish edge around the brown patches, and it's broken by the side of the leaf there as well. And I don't know if this is a virus or if it's something else. I would suggest it possibly is a virus, because I've seen it in several people's gardens on much bigger plants than this. And if it's just environmental conditions, I would have thought I'd have seen good growing plants without this, but I've seen a lot with this on in the last year or so, and I think it could be something that's actually getting from plant to plant. Whether it is a virus, airborne fungal disease, I'm not sure, but it's definitely something. It's holding back the growth. This plant should have been much bigger this year, but it's definitely losing some vigor because of this issue. And like I said, it's just doesn't look nice on the plant, especially when it gets bigger and bigger leaves. You've also got the bigger marks. So if you've got any more information, I'll be interested to know of your experiences with onset and other bananas with this pattern of brownish dead marks with yellowish circles around it. And also we've got a lot of this black at the base, which I said is pretty normal after a few years, but this is extended quite far up into the base of the petioles of the leaves here as well. So this is one onset Haniba, one of two I've got left. The other one is looking much better, and we'll have a look at that right now. Now all is not lost with my onset Haniba bananas. I had one small tiny plant that looked very ill for several years because it was a small little division when we did the propagation a few years back, just hanging on to life for a couple of years in the greenhouse. But this year it's put on some decent root growth and decent leaves. Now look at these are nice healthy green leaves without any of that spotting or broken leaves that we've seen in the other onset banana. So this is looking healthy. It's been kept away from all the other banana plants at one end of the greenhouse with just two Musas in here rather than any onsets, and it's looking nice and healthy. It's got several leaves now, about 7 or 8 leaves on this. The oldest leaves are starting to yellow and die off. All the new leaves are looking good with no red spider mites or any other pests and diseases. So I'm going to mollycoddle this one through winter, keeping active growth in this pot because it's not in a huge pot, and we will see how it goes over winter, keeping on the very dry side, and then start watering and feeding next probably April when it starts warming up. Hopefully it'll be big enough to plant out in the garden in 2025, and then in following years get to be a huge specimen once more, like its other plants, other onset Hanibas that we had in the past, which were towering over me. So that is a continuation of onset Haniba in my garden. Now if you found this video interesting in terms of looking at different types of bananas, and you may also be growing these types of bananas but wondering how to overwinter them, then check out this link where I'll go through the different strategies for overwintering onset bananas.